by
Your plug there?
start by thanking everyone for joining me today. I will start off by introducing myself. My name is Mike Sitko. I am the National Account Representative that manages the Berkshire Hathaway brokerage account. Our goal here today is to run you through zip form, but keeping it very simple. I want to make sure that we just keep it to the bare minimum, getting in, starting the transaction, show you how easy it is to do your work. So I'm not going to try to get into too much grave detail on some of the other features inside the application, but I'll touch base on some tools that I feel are very beneficial to you. So we're going to keep it very simple. I want to ask that we hold the questions to the very end, and then we'll open it up for open dialogue. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have, today is your webinar, and again, appreciate the time that you're taking today to join me. So what we're looking at here today is our login screen for ZipForm Plus. Again, it's located at www.zipformplus.com. This is where you will go to log in. When you're here, you'll plug in your email address that was established for your account. Okay. If you have not gotten into the account yet, you'll simply go ahead and click on the Forgot Password, and you'll plug in your email address, and then you'll send yourself a reset password to establish your password. If you've already gone in and set up an account, then you're simply plugging in the username or your email address, your password, and you're simply clicking sign in. Okay. Upon logging into the application, you're presented with your transaction page. So this is the first screen that you logged into. This is where your transactions are going to reside. Some of you may see it in a tile view. If you want to switch it, you can to a list view by clicking on the icon here. So that icon, clicking on that icon switches it to a list view. While within this view, you will get some additional information about a transaction. The transaction ID, some information about your sellers or buyers, the property address, modified trade, and our retention policy. Okay, so those are some of the key information you're going to receive about the transaction while it's in the list view. If you want to go back, you can simply click on the icon and click on the tile view again. You can go back and forth between the two viewing options. You have the option to sort, so date modified, transaction name, an ID, a closing date. So the transactions you're most currently working on, from default, will always be the ones at the top. You also have different filters in case you want to filter out by different statuses. So we do have the active and pending in case you want to organize it here as well. You have a filter by transaction type, so listing, purchase. You have the option to filter by property type as well. Maybe you only want to look at residential transactions. So you have the ability to also go ahead and say, I want to look at active and pending, and you can save that filter. So that will be your predetermined setting. So that will be what you do, what you'll see when you come into the application every single time. So you can save your own preferences. Okay. You do have the option to search. So if you're looking for a particular transaction, no need to worry. They're very easy to find. You can search by the name of the transaction, the buyers, the address. So if I go ahead and type in anything, like say I'm looking for the zip training one, I type in zip, it'll go ahead and type it, it'll bring up the transaction for me. So all of our search boxes are instant. So as you type the name of the transaction, the data will be brought up to you. Okay. Last couple other tools we'll talk about on this screen before we get into creating a new transaction. You have the option to click a drop down here. This will give you some transaction details. So if you click the menu drop down, you also get some menu options. Again, one of them is the ability to open the transaction. So you can open the transaction from here, or you can simply click on the name of the transaction and open it that way as well. You have the option to view, edit the details. So maybe you need to change the name of a transaction. Maybe a listing becomes a purchase. You can change it that way. But here you also have the option to alter your statuses, either active, pending, or closed. So again, that way you can kind of keep things organized when you're working on your own transactions for your own purposes. Going back to that drop down, the last thing I've touched base on is our copy function. The only reason why I touch base on this is because I do feel that it could save you time if you're working with a set of buyers and they just happen to fall through. So this way you can go in, make a copy of the transaction, maybe change one to inactive, and go in and just make some minor changes. So that way you don't have to worry about starting from scratch. You can go in and just make your minor changes. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go into creating a new transaction. Like I said, we're going to keep it very easy. So if you're coming into the application, you want to get a transaction started, no need to worry. All you're going to do is simply click on New, and you're going to start getting this transaction started. So we'll name this transaction today 869 Child's Point. It's going to be a purchase residential transaction. So today we're going to be working with some buyers, right? Before I click on Save, there's a couple things you can do. The first option is you have the ability to add a photo of the property if you want to. So let's go ahead and bring in a picture of the property. And then we can go ahead and actually apply templates. So the company has gone ahead and actually created some templates for you so that you can utilize these templates when starting a transaction. And this is key because they are greatly time-saving tools. So we'll go ahead and select the residential sale buy side. So that's a template that we're going to be using. You can see that it's global so that everyone in the company does have access to this. So after you made your selections, maybe you added a picture, you added your template, you'll simply go ahead and click on Save, right? So what's going to happen now, the system's going to go ahead and start this transaction for us, okay? So you're going to get the sales contract, you're going to get the contract of sale. So what you're going to see are the forms that the company is stating that, this is how we want to get you started, so you don't have to go looking for these forms. We've already gone ahead and put all those forms in there for you, okay? Over here on the right-hand side, this is where your libraries are going to be, okay? So it's default to the Berkshire because it is set by alphabetical order, so you have access to the entire Berkshire Hathaway library. If you click your menu drop-down, you'll see that you'll have access to other libraries as well, like New Jersey Association of Realtors. So all you need to do is simply click on the name of the library, and then it will go ahead and pull those forms for inputs in from that particular library. So if you're looking for a particular form, all you do is simply click on the form, and it'll bring that form right to a transaction. So if you need to bring in additional forms, you can do so very easily. We do have the option to sort out either by alphabetical form number, so if you rather look by the forms, by the form number, or we ultimately have a categorized view. So the categorized view, what we've done is work with the associations to help us categorize their forms into what type of transaction they belong into. So you click that categorize, you can go to the purchase folder, and it kind of helps shorten that long list of forms. So now you can see the forms related to a purchase transaction.
I'm sorry, so sorry to interrupt. Can you just slow down a little bit?
Yeah, no, not a problem. So when you open the purchase folder, you're going to see that these are the forms related to a purchase transaction. So you can simply find the form you're looking for and then bring that right into the transaction. You also have the ability to search for a form. So you can go ahead and search for any form that's within the New Jersey Association of Realtor Library. If you want to search for a form in another library, you can do that very easily. So let's say we're going to be searching for a form that's lead-based paint. So I type in the word lead. The system will pull up any form that contains the word lead. Okay? So you're going to see here that we have two options out of the New Jersey Association of Realtor Library. If I'm still unsure on which form I want, I can hover over the form, and there's a menu drop-down right next to the name of the form. You can click on that drop-down. It will give you some additional options. One of them, again, is the ability to add the form to the transaction. You also have the ability to print a sample form, which will watermark sample across the face of the document. You can print a blank form and take it with you if you want, but ultimately you have this ability to do a form preview. So I can click on the form, and it will actually show me the form prior to pulling it into the transaction. So I can go ahead and click on Add Form if it's the right form, or I can simply go ahead and close out and then continue on looking for another form if it was not the right form. Okay? So this tab does open and close, so you can open and close this tab however you want.
Mike, I don't know if you realize it, but we haven't heard you, and I'm not for a couple of minutes now. And what we had asked is if you could please slow down And as far as I can tell, the last place that we actually heard you is when you were in the video library, when you were in the forms library, showing us the Garden State option, et cetera, et cetera. So whatever we missed between those two areas would be great. And if you could just slow it down a little bit, we could probably follow you better.
Okay, not a problem.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're going to start back at the forms library. So we talked about what happened when you first came into the transaction utilizing the template that the company had set up for you. Okay, so you have all your association forms here that was established by the company. Over here on the right-hand side, you have your library. Your default library, in which you will see when you come into the application, is your Berkshire Hathaway library. It's because it's set up in alphabetical order. If you want to switch to another library, you can simply click on the drop-down and look at the other libraries you have access to. So if you're looking for a form out of Garden State, or if you're looking for a form out of the New Jersey library, you simply click on that library and it will go ahead and bring those forms to you. Okay? So if you want to bring a form into a transaction, all you have to do is simply click on the form and it will bring that form directly into the transaction for you. You also have the ability to click a drop-down, so you can look at it by alphabetical, form numbers. So if you want to search for a form by the form number, you can do that. You also have the option to sort it out by the categorized view. And what we do with the association is that we work with the associations and the companies and the MLSs to help us categorize their forms into what type of transaction they belong into. So we have the purchase folder, so I can click on it, and it will actually go ahead and bring all the forms that are related to a purchase transaction. So this way it helps shorten that entire long list of forms, so it's a little easier to search for a form you're looking for. We also have the ability to look at a search box. And our search box, again, is all instant. So as you type, the data will be brought up to you. Okay? So if I'm looking for any particular name of a form, but I do not know the exact name, I can type in the word lead. And the system will go ahead and pull up any form that contains the word lead. So you're going to see that we have two different forms here. Okay? If you are unsure on which form you need to utilize, there is a menu drop-down next to the form. I can click that drop-down, and you're going to see some menu options. I have the ability to add the form to the transaction. I have the ability to print a sample form, which will watermark sample across the face of the document. You also have the ability to do a form preview. And this will allow you to see the form prior to pulling it into the transaction. Okay, so you can make sure that this is the correct form that you want. At that time, if it is, great. You can add it into the transaction from here as well, or simply close out and then continue on looking for another form. And this tab will open and close. So you can open and close that tab freely if you want to open or broaden your working space. Okay? If you brought a form into the transaction and you did not mean to, you can simply go ahead and either click on the delete document icon and you can remove that form from the transaction. By doing this, it will go ahead and simply remove it and then put it back into the forms library in case you want to utilize that one again. So again, delete document, and you can choose the form you need to or multiple forms, and simply click on delete. It will remove the form from your transaction. Okay? The next step in this transaction after you've got your forms in there may be that we need to get some people involved or start filling out this transaction. Okay? And there's multiple ways to do this. I mean, you can go into any form that you're working on, like a contract of sale, and fill out all the information here if you want to. But what I'm going to show you is this concept of working from left to right. So when you come into this transaction, you have the Documents tab, which are all your forms and documents. and then you have a Parties tab. Okay, so the Parties tab is a great area to see who's involved in the transaction. So when you're ready to bring a person in, all you have to do is simply click on New. And we're going to select Buyer 1. Okay, so I can now go through and fill out all the information for the buyer. Okay, when I'm doing this, we're going to be asking for some additional information about your buyer that you're probably not going to have to type in on a purchase agreement. Okay, so I can fill all of the information for the buyer. The nice thing about coming here is you do have this ability to save this user as a contact. Okay, because you and me both know that a buyer has the potential to put offers on 2 or 3 different homes, or you get all the way to the appraisal, and then the appraisal just actually the deal falls apart. Okay, so you'll come here and then fill out all the information for the buyer. Once you do that, you can actually, if you want to, if you save this person as a contact, you can pull them in from a built-in contact book. So I can either click on the Add Contact and go to the address book in case you saved your buyers within your own address book. We do offer integrations with third parties, so maybe your contact is stored somewhere else, like Google or Yahoo or Office 365. Once you find them either from your ZipLogic contacts or your third-party contacts, you can simply go ahead and select that buyer and bring it into the transaction by checking on the box, clicking on Save. It'll pull their data on over, and then all you have to do is click on Save now, and it brings that buyer right into the transaction for you. So very easy to bring buyers in if they're in your address book. Or again, you can simply fill it out either on the form or the Parties tab. So we'll go to the Property tab next, right? So now what you can do is go in and fill all the information for the property. So plug in the MLS number, we'll plug in a street address, and we're just going to go through, and what you're seeing here are these drop-downs, so the system will remember what you've typed in the past on your computer, okay? So you may see that there is a menu drop-down with data already on there. So you can click that drop-down and select your counties or townships. If you've already used it in the past, the system will remember it. So I'm just using these drop-downs to fill out some information about this transaction fairly quickly. Okay, so after you've gone ahead and filled out all the information for the transaction, you can simply click on Save, and now I can show you kind of what some things that have happened here. Let's go back to our Documents tab. Okay, so we can go ahead and see that once I open up a form here, or look for it real quick. If I go into the buy and sell agreement or the contract to sale, you're going to notice that the information for the buyer is being pulled in from the Parties tab. Okay, you also have access to a cover sheet, which allows you to see where the information for the buyer and seller are going as well. So this is a great area to see who's involved. You can also see that we're having information being pulled in from the Property tab as well. So wherever you started to fill all the information out, again, the data is going to flow wherever it's needed. Okay. At the bottom of this cover sheet, there is information for attorneys. So this is where you can fill out your attorney representing the buyers or attorney representing the seller as well. Okay. We will be adding the attorneys representing and attorney representing seller onto the Parties tab this month. Okay, so you will be able to do everything from the Parties tab, your buyers, your sellers, your attorneys, all from within that particular tab. Okay, but here on the cover sheet is where you can fill them out as well. Okay, let's go back. So that's how easy it is to get a transaction started with, getting your forms in there, bringing in your parties, and filling out the Property tab. So kind of working this concept again left to right. Right? If you need to bring in any additional outside documents into a transaction, you can do this very easily. Okay, so if you want to bring in an outside document, so all you have to do is simply click on Add Document, and you have some options. You can either browse from an external source like Dropbox or OneDrive, or you can browse for a file off your computer. So we're going to go to my desktop here, and we're going to bring in a form or PDF like a home inspection report. So we've gone ahead and browsed on the computer. We click on Open, going to pull it up here in my section, add the document. I can plug in a comment for this document if I want to, and we simply click on OK. Okay, it'll bring that PDF into the transaction very easily. We also have the ability to add a folder. So maybe you want to add a folder for organization if that's the way you want to work. So one of the folders I'm going to just give an example for in this particular transaction. Maybe you want to bring in some pictures of the property. So I'm going to name a folder called Pics of Prop, and we'll simply click on OK. It's going to generate a folder inside the transaction. I can open that folder, which it will be blank, but now I can bring in some pictures. So let's go ahead and add a document. We're going to browse for a file, and I'm going to click on pictures, and I'm going to bring in the back, the garage, and the front of the house. Okay, so I'm going to click on open. So again, I'm going to pull those JPEGs over here into my add document section, and I'm going to simply click on OK. It brought those JPEG pictures into my transaction for me as well. A couple other options to bring in outside documents. You have the ability to click on a menu drop-down up here in the left-hand corner. Allows you to look at the transaction details. You have some menu options here as well. So the two that we're going to focus on, because we're talking about bringing in outside documents. So we're going to have the option to fax into a cover sheet. So we can go ahead and view print. And we have the option to look at a barcode, the top and the bottom. It'll have a number to send it to, directions on here below, and then you can also send it as an email attachment as well. So you can use this cover sheet to go ahead and fax any documents you want into a transaction. You also have the ability to click on a drop-down, and you can email to a transaction as well. We do generate a unique email address every single file. So if you want to click on that drop-down, you have the option to go ahead and email directly into the transaction. So that way you can go ahead and attach any documents from an email right into the transaction for you. Okay, so again, you can compose an email from there. You can save them as a contact. And it will bring any document into a transaction by forwarding it. The nice thing about this email to the transaction, though, as well, is that say you're going back and forth with a client or a co-op agent, and you are having a long conversation, and then the last document is the last conversation includes some documents. Okay, you can actually forward that email into a transaction. It'll pull those documents, like I said, but it'll also store a conversation of that email as well for your own compliance if you need it. Okay. The next thing we're going to be talking about is this toolbar working across our screen here. So you have the option, we talked about adding documents, adding folders, deleting documents. You can simply click on print if you want to as well. And you can go ahead and click on print. You can choose the forms you want to print and the outside document as well. There is also the ability to click on the drop down here to print different pages. So you have the option to go ahead and select the page you want or multiple pages. And at that point in time, you'll be able to go ahead and rearrange in any order that you like. Then simply go ahead and click on print. And then it'll go ahead and print out the forms and or any outside document that you've had selected. So again, that is the print option. You also have the ability to go ahead and send from zip form as well. So you can choose the forms, any outside documents. You can rearrange in any order that you like. So once you see here, you can just simply plug in an email address if you're going to decide that you want to email. Or you can simply go ahead and choose the fax option as well and just plug in a fax number. So you can email and fax very easily out of the application. All right. Anytime you see this little blue icon here, it means you can access your address book. So I can either send it to my transaction parties, we'll click on save, and that way it makes it easy so I don't have to worry about filling out the information. You can plug in a subject, you can copy yourself, and then you have some options. You can send it out as a single PDF file, or you can send it out as a separate PDF file. And right from here, you also have that ability to attach that fax cover sheet, so that way if you're going to email it to them or fax it to them, they do have an option to send it directly right back to you inside the application. Down here below is your email message, so if you want to plug in some comments, you can also set up a personal tagline from your profile in the right-hand corner. So this will be what's sent out when you email from ZipForm. Okay, so emailing or faxing are both great, easy options to get forms or any outside document outside the application into someone else's hands. While we're on the topic of working with a client, I'm going to just touch base on one feature that I feel is very useful. It's actually this icon up here called Zip Consult, and I know this is something that was very liked by the company. So you have this option to click on the green icon, all right? And what this allows you to do is you can plug in a first name and a last name and an email address, and you can add them in as a meeting participant. Or again, you can see here you can access your address book, so you can really start to see how this address book can really save you a lot of time. Is we can go ahead and select our buyer, and we can go ahead and meet now with them. So it's going to allow you to do exactly what we're doing today. You're looking at my screen. We're having a very interactive experience, right? And you can have open dialogue with whoever you want. So now what you can do is go into ZipForm, open up the contract, and they're going to be seeing your screen, and you can go over that contract together. So I can show you what this means, what that means, and where you're going to be signing, okay? So again, you can really have that interactive experience with your client or whoever you want without having to drive across town to do so, okay? You're not limited to what's in ZipForm. You can share them whatever you want. Items off the MLS, items off your company website, whatever you want to share with them, because they're literally going to be looking at your screen, okay? While we're on the form here, I'm going to touch base on some simple form filling functionalities. So if you need to fill out a form, all you have to do is click in a field and then fill in the data that you want, okay? Any form that has corresponding information will automatically flow to that particular form, okay? So if it's addresses, city, state, zip codes, all that information is going to flow over, okay? You do have the options up here as well to email from here. You can print from here. We have a fast fill option. So if you take this contract to sale, which is a 13-page contract to sale, you can click on fast fill, and what it will do is actually just simply go ahead and bullet point all of the fields for you. So it makes it a lot easier. All that legal verbiage will just be kind of set aside, and we're just breaking it down to what is the field really asking for. So all you have to do now is simply tab through and fill out all the information. And when you're done, you simply click on Fast Fill again, convert that document back into its original state. All right? There's built-in highlighters in case you want to highlight text. You can do that as well. If you make a mistake, no need to worry. All you have to do is simply click on the yellow icon and remove it from the transaction. There's built-in strikeout. If you are striking out, make sure you go ahead and initial next to it as well. So there's a strikeout option. Again, if you make a mistake, you can go ahead and double-click to remove it. So highlight and strikeouts. Okay. The last thing I will touch base on here is we do have this ability to go ahead and bring in a picture per se. So if I have a blank addendum, which I'm trying to find, you actually have the ability to attach a photo to any particular form inside the transaction. Okay, so we're going to click on here. We can attach a photo. So let's just say this had to deal with a FHA inspection, and there's some peeling paint that needed to be fixed. So I can attach a photo. We can browse for a picture of the back of the house because that's where it's at. And we can attach that photo to the contract. All right, we can move it wherever we want to. And now anytime this form goes out, it'll have a picture to go along with it. So if I email this form, the very last page will be a picture of the house, okay? And you can attach multiple photos if you want to, a particular form or any form in zip form, so that way when it goes out, those pictures will be pretty much now they're all in one. Okay. All right, so the next step in this transaction, if you've emailed it or if you sent it out through faxing or you printed them off, but now let's say you're going to actually go ahead and send this out for an e-signature. Through the New Jersey Association of Realtors, you do have the option for the e-sign solution, so you can click on e-sign here. You can go ahead and simply click on create packet, and you'll simply choose the form and what you need to send out. So we're going to keep it simple. We're just going to send out like an addendum and like an outside document as well. Once you made those decisions, you can simply click on next. Once you're here, you're simply going to see that you have your transaction parties. So this is pulling in from the buyer section here. So we're going to simply click on Mike as the buyer. If you need to bring in any additional signers, you either add them in here from your Parties tab, or simply click on New to bring in an entirely new contact. Once you made your decision, you click on Done. So you'll see Buyer 1 here. There's a CC list. I mean, you can carbon copy anyone on the signing that you want to. Okay? Anytime you see a blue business card, it means you can access your transactional parties again. So the CC list will give you, or give the person who's on the CC a completed file, the packet, when it's completely done. So after you made your decisions, all you have to do is simply click on Next. And the system at this point in time is going to pull this directly into Digital Link. So you'll see that we do all the pre-tagging for you. If you want to add additional tags, you can simply drag and drop. So maybe I want to add an initial box somewhere. I can do that here. Just drag and drop it at the bottom of the form. Any form that may be brought in from the outside, like a PDF, you do need to tag. So all you have to do is simply click on the drop-down, click on the additional form you brought in, and we'll go ahead and simply go to where we need to tag it and drag and drop the e-sign right there, then send it out for signature. Okay? Again, you can add text boxes or initial boxes, signature fields, whatever you need to do for the signing. Once you're done, all you have to do is simply click on Send, and then it'll go ahead and send an email to your client. So you'll see that the buyer information is here. We have the documents that were sent down below. You also have the ability to look at a history of what's going on for the signing process immediately. We'll go ahead and wait for this email to come across, and then we'll go through as a signing as a client so you can kind of see that whole process, and then we'll be wrapping up here very shortly. So here's the email that gets received by the client. Okay, so now what they'll do is simply click here to access the documents. So they have to go ahead and accept the e-sign consent, and then they'll simply click on Next. And I'm going to show you what a new signer sees, because right now it's recognizing that I have signed before in the past. So we're going to go ahead and show you what a new signer sees. So a new signer is going to be brought to a screen just like this, and it's going to ask them to create a signing PIN. And the PIN is so that it's additional security for compliance. So we plug in the PIN. So it's unique to the signer. And they can choose their signature font down here below, or they can go ahead and choose to draw their own as well. Okay. So we're going to stick with a predetermined, and we'll simply click on to view sign. Have the option to let me review, which will let you go at your own pace, or you can simply click on Go, which will walk you through the signing process. So we click here to sign, click here to initial, sign, and then sign. And when you're done, all you have to do is either click here to stay here or finish when you're completely done. You're going to go ahead and finalize the document for the client. You'll see that there's the signatures and initials are already there. We can go ahead and download these or print these however you want as a client. What will happen as the agent, you will receive an email with the signed completed documents right back to you. But also what will happen is in zip form, you're going to get a notification up here that new documents have been signed. Your signature packet will show as completed with the signed documents. And you also will receive a document folder within your transaction of all the completed documents. They'll be clearly marked as signed. You also will receive an audit trail of the entire signing process. Okay? So at this point in time, if you've done all the work, you can go into the SkySlope application and then pull all this data over there so that you can manage it. We do have, just so you know, we have a help desk here Monday through Friday, 24/7. On the weekends and holidays, they are here 10 to 10 on the weekdays, or 10 to 10 on the weekends and holidays. Okay. I will go out and give that number at the very end on the screen so you can take that down in case you need to contact them. And I'll give you a direct line to our help desk. If you need additional training or want any additional help, I'm going to show you some couple different benefits and features that we offer. Okay? The first one is directly inside the application. Okay, so if you need additional help, all you have to do is click on the icon. And this is actually guided help. So if you kind of want a refresher and says, show me how to create a transaction, I can click on that icon, and the system will actually show me in application how to create a transaction. So you'll see step 1. To create a new transaction, click the new button. We click on the icon. We'll go to 2. Enter a name for your transaction, such as a property address. It'll actually go through step by step on how to create a new transaction. So the guided help, again, is located over here on the right-hand side. You also have the ability to click on the help icon up here. We have the Training and Education Center, which these are all live, online, free training. You can always sign up for one of these at any point in time if you want to, and it'll go ahead and have refreshers, or if there's a particular class you want to sign up for, you can do that anytime you want. And then we also offer the how-to videos. Okay? The how-to videos is our YouTube channel. So when you click here, it'll take you to YouTube, and we have a lot of videos that you can look at. Okay? So if you go to the home section here, we can break it down by our sections, like Zip Form Plus, we have the beginner training, we have the advanced training. So you can watch any one of those again at any point in time if you ever want a refresher. Okay? From our website, we have the support section, support and FAQs. You can come here as well. So we have different sections. If you're looking for Zip Form Plus, you can look at any one of our top support items here, or search the knowledge base, which will let you kind of break it down to really what you're looking for. We also have documentation resources, so you can look at any one of these as well.
Hey guys, silence your phones, please.
And it'll kind of walk you through the entire process. So a lot of options if you need it. The number for our help desk, which I'm going to put on the screen now.
Is it on this one too?
On the bottom and support.
586-840-0140.
Just put it in your phone. Put it in your phone. Put it in your phone right now. Then you have it as a new contact.
What was it?
I've got it.
586.
840.
0140.
0140. Just put it in your phone and you've got it.
And again, they're here Monday through Friday, 24/7, 10 to 10 on weekdays and holidays. So at this time, I will go ahead and open up for dialogue. So, we have, about 15 minutes for questions. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. If you need clarification on anything, please let me know.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. It's been a great presentation. So I'm going to open up the floor right now. So please raise your hand. We'll do one at a time. Peggy, what's your question?
Isn't there a template?
Yeah.
Isn't there a template where we'll set up our name, our contact information, so every time we do a document, it'll auto-populate? That's the template I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. So if you want to, this gets into, so that's a very good question because, every agent has the ability to create their own templates as well. So the company has gone ahead and created templates for you, okay, and they're going to auto-populate things as well. But if you want to create a template for yourself, just simply click on Templates and create a new template. Maybe the template name for you is going to be Contact Template, okay? And you can make this, and if it's your contact information, you can make one for a listing, residential, and you can actually force that template upon the transaction. So that way, if you're creating a listing residential template, it will automatically apply. You create this template. You can add in your own cover sheet. So we'll go to the New Jersey library, plug in the cover sheet, and you can plug in all the information there or add yourself in from the Parties tab as a selling, as either the selling broker or the listing broker. Okay, and you just plug in all your agent information from here. So that way it'll auto-populate for your information and you don't have to worry about filling it out over and over again. So yes, you have the ability to create your own templates with all of your own information. And it will not duplicate anything that the company has already done for you. It will build upon what the company has done.
Awesome. I just want to remind our group that this is going to be recorded, so if these are some of the options you're looking at, this is not the last time you're going to hear them. Next question. Priscilla.
If you don't do a template, does your profile, will that come up as, all the information?
No, you're going to have to put it in unless you have a template. It won't know that.
Even though you have your own email profile?
If you created the template and you have it applied to, say, listings or sales, then it's going to apply. But you have to create the template. It's not going to auto-populate because it won't know where to pull it from. Another question? Walter.
When I click on transactions and I see all the functions, to the right of the e-sign packet, you have RPR. I don't have that on mine.
That's a really good question. So the way the RPR logo has to appear is, like us, we are a National Association of Realtor member benefit. Okay, RPR is also a National Association of Realtor member benefit. If you're being logged in and it's asking for an NRDS number, you have to plug that in. Okay, once you do that, it will go ahead and show you the RPR. If you're not seeing that, reach out to the help desk and they will get it on there for you. They'll plug in your NERDS number and it'll show up on your account. And just since you brought up RPR, I will just go into it a little bit more. RPR allows you to link your ZipForm account. And from RPR, you can actually find a property using the tax record data and then push it directly into ZipForm. Okay, so the RPR integration is can be very beneficial. Great question. Are there any other questions? Unless you want to find. You there, Kate? Christy? Is there a way to? I'm not seeing it on the audio option for you. Is it not giving you an option?